Alright, here we go. This is the Megaman Grandista by Banpresto. We're going to go over the price, the color and paint, how it matches what they wanted to create, the scale and size, the space for it, the competition. I know there's others out there, exclusive line, and how exclusive is it? This one isn't it. This is the matte version, and the value, and why it got my attention from others. So here goes Megaman Grandista. Alright, so here we're going to start off with the head. You see the helmet right there. He has a classic square right in front of his helmet, right in the center. And then you see the round shape going around to the top, that little baby blue on top. It does look, the sculpt looks a little, it looks a little like not so smooth and so circular and perfect. I know it's hard to sculpt these and make them super perfect, but this one is not as expensive as other figures and statues that sometimes you just put more time into it. So here we're looking at his midsection, and you see his face, and give an overall view of him in his close-up. So in his right hand, he has it clenched, and you see some textures there. I'm gonna get into those a little bit more. Here's the back of him with just seeing all the baby blue colors and how they mixed them all up, and how to scale into when you bring a 2D character to life into 3D. It's pretty amazing to see it, especially when they get it right. What I like about this figure is that he's very smooth. It's very it looks like a 2D painting in a way. Those scratches you see on him give it life. They give this figure, this little sculpture, life instead of just being plainly there, just with color. So we're gonna check out that arm cannon. They call it a buster, I think, a cannon buster or something like that. It's been a long time, and it has some little vents in it, and you have the red in there with the white. Looks pretty cool. And then when you see these colors, does he look like Mega Man? I believe that it does look like him because I've seen other figures that are much lighter in blue without the shadow. I think the matte works for this character, for this figure specifically. Whatever they did a good job on it because it stands out. It's very solid. The scale and size of it is being held. This little figure is being held up by his shoes. This guy is heavy, um, and that's how he stands. He's in three pieces. He's so you'll see his, yeah, two shoes and the rest of his body. So you see his arm cannon right here with the little yellow. It has to charge up. That's pretty cool. It has some ridges there, little lines, little squares where it like charges up for him to shoot his blaster. Obviously, Mega Man's an android. He's so you have a helmet. He has boots, his blaster. So he's an android. He was made in the lab by Dr. Light. And how I know him is through this. I used to play a lot of Mega Man X, and you have to go find all his suit parts, and he would slide once he got his boots. Doctor Light, a little tube will come out, and Doctor Light will give you these boots, and you're in a mission to beat all these villains. So each level you have to fight each one, and then you fight the villain at the end, and it's a pretty fun game. They're all villains, but you fight the big boss, and this thing's so old. This is the same one I used to play when I was younger, and yeah, we got it from a friend, and he wrote on it, as you can see. So there's some stuff on there, but this is the same one. I kept it all this time, and this is what made me fall in love with Mega Man, and as a character. So if we want to talk about his competition, Kotobukiya did come out with one, and I will feel like that's the one that's competing with this one. But the cool thing about that one is it's a model kit. And I'm not used to model kits, but it just makes sense. So because you can pose him. So Kotobukiya came out with one that you can pose him, and I'm not too into articulation, as you can tell. That's why I appreciate this Mega Man because it feels like a solid 2D Mega Man in 3D. So his colors is all there. There's I don't really like articulation because it usually takes away from his sculpt. So I'm showing the game again because I wanted to show and see the little writing and how beat up it was. But just talking about Mega Man's competition here, and yeah, his this one's no articulation. I wasn't really into it because I feel like it gave away a lot of the character of what they actually looked like. But Kotobukiya, I feel like this is competition, and it kind of makes sense. You could change its heads, you can pose him. It works because he's a robot. So being like an android robot, articulation works. So I feel like it fit. So here goes a close up of Mega Man. So just to see the little details in his face and his lips and his skin and his nose. You can see that the color is actually like skin color. Like it did a good job in the composition and the colors and the shadow. It's just not some plain tainted one piece of color as you turn them around, where it's the scope that gives the shadow and the illusion. So they did a pretty good job. You can appreciate that. And his right fist clenched right here with all that texture and cuts in it that they put into it to make it come to life. I like it. Um, being for me why it was a good find is that I found this character in Japan. I found his figure and he was so cheap. I found him for $12. So for me, it was a good find. And I just don't like buying anything just because it's cheap in price, but I was just kind of like, oh no, this it works. It works. It got my attention. I was like, well, I think for the price and for the way it looks and for how solid it feels, it doesn't feel cheaply plastic like it could tip over. Here goes under the shoes, so you can see he has a little red under there. I think that's not for his sliding boosters, but it's just for looks, I believe, because I think you have to have all his upgrades. So here goes the scale and the size. He's about 9 inches in height, and he's about around 5.5 in width. I think I got that, yeah. And yeah, so yeah, that brings me back to its value and exclusivity. They made a metallic version of Mega Man, and they call it an exclusive line. Do I think it's exclusive? Well, if you can find them online, is it really exclusive? You can find them right now if you were to search them on Amazon and buy them for like $35 or Google it. And for me, it was a good find. I needed a Mega Man. I've been wanting a Mega Man, and it was something that I got from my trip. And from I was in Akihabara, and yeah, this is where he lives. This is where he stays. And overall, he's a good find. He's a good find, good scope.